Hey folks, Greg Koch here at American Musical Supply, and we're having some fun with some Fishman acoustic weaponry. And this is a device I've actually become quite fond of. Basically, it allows you to match with your under-the-saddle bridge pickup. In the case of this particular guitar, this is a Martin 00028 that I just harvested a kidney to purchase. I'm just kidding. I didn't have to harvest anything. I just, had to work in a mine for years in order to, no, I'm just kidding. I bought it. And it has a Matrix Infinity Fishman pickup in it, which has a volume and a tone control in here. And I'm going into this Spectrum Aura, and what it allows you to do is you can blend in the sound of this pickup with an image, if you will, an Aura image. It sounds magical. And friends, it is magical. So what are these images that we're matching? Is it modeling per se? Well, it's actually kind of, for lack of a better term, and I'm sure I'll be corrected if I'm wrong in saying so, it's like mic emulation technology. So imagine you went into a studio and you had, I'll pretend like I know about microphones, a Neumann mic or a Telefunken U47 or a flux capacitor, which is my favorite of all the microphones. X amount of feet away from your guitar in a room with 10-inch ceilings, and then you take an image of that sound, and then you're able to actually conjure that up and blend that with your under-the-saddle bridge pickup. Well, that's basically what's happening here. I'll describe for you the process that I was told by Joe B at Fishman of how he does these images. Basically, he plugs in a guitar using the under-saddle pickup, and then whatever microphone we're talking about. So as I mentioned, a Telefunken or a Neumann or whatever the heck you want to say, X amount of feet away, and they're in a studio, and what he'll do is he'll basically just do a thing where he'll go, and they're recording both signals of both the microphone and of the under-the-saddle pickup, and they have technology, devilry as I like to call it, software that's able to take a snapshot of that frequency range and whatever's happening in that situation with that microphone, the guitar, and the pickup, and that is a sound that you can now blend in this device with your actual signal. So what I like to do is I like to just, when I'm showing off this device, is how I like to use it, and just kind of give you an overview of what happens inside this contraption. As you can see, as we've got a handy dandy camera that allows us to see the top of this device, you have various different body styles right here. This is an orchestra model, so I've got it on orchestra, and there are 16 images of different microphones, different mic placement, different rooms, so on and so forth that I can choose from. Right now I just have it on the first setting, which sounded good to me, number one. And this is the blend button that allows you to blend it in. You can do 100% if you want, or I typically like to go about 10 o'clock. So what I'm gonna do is, for both of these controls, both the compressor and the blend, I'm gonna turn that off for a hot minute. And you can see it's got a 3-band EQ, which I just have set flat for the purposes of our experiments here, okay? I have the tone control full up on the guitar, as well as the volume as on my Matrix Infinity preamp. So this is just the sound of the bridge pickup going straight into this preamp with just flat EQ, and I've got the volume of the actual preamp up about 2 o'clock. Which is not an unpleasant sound. It sounds good. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in, as I like to do, about 10 o'clock on the blend. What it does to me is it adds more air around the notes. It just gives it a little bit more ambience and just a little bit more authenticity as far as how the guitar sounds in a room with any kind of reflective surface. So again, let me turn it off. Not a bad sound, but we add this in and it just becomes a little more, kind of squishes it a little bit, gives it a little bit more air, and it just sounds more pleasant to the ear, to me anyway. Now if I go to the different sounds, just to kind of give you an example, this is the number 1 setting on orchestra model. As I go, all these different versions. Number 12 I thought was pretty good. Okay, sounds pretty doggone good. Now what I like to do is I also like to add a little bit of compression. I'm not a big fan of compression when I use electric guitar, but that's just personal preference. But on an acoustic, it just kind of adds what I like to call talent to your musical activity. So I'm just going to put that on about 10 o'clock. Again, here it is before. Put it on about 10 o'clock ski. Squishes it enough. James Bond chord. You get the idea. So to me, it allows, what it's allowed me to do as mostly, electric guitar player. I've always had an acoustic guitar. I've always played it in the studio. I've always thought that, playing out live with an acoustic guitar was always something that was, there was always those friends of yours that were acoustic guitar specialists, and they would have like 3-hour sound checks, and they always knew the frequencies, and they would have this in-depth like physics conversation with the sound man. I was like, this is too much. I just want to plug in and rock, So what this allows you to do, it's pretty doggone easy. I got a flat EQ. You go in there, you kind of add the blend to just add a little bit of air around the notes. You go straight in. I'm just going straight into a flat. I've got the EQ flat on here. I don't even have any reverb on, just for the sake of argument. Any ambience you hear is coming from the preamp. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Fishman Aura Spectrum DI. So if you want to get the most up-to-the-minute, legitimate live acoustic electric sound so that you can go down to the VFW post and kumbaya people into oblivion, and they can almost smell the marshmallows and campfire from the legitimacy of your acoustic performance, then this is the device for you, my friends. Greg Koch here at American Musical Supply. You can get this thing online at americanmusical.com. Can you dig it? See you later.